Hi everyone, welcome to the Shaken Fist. I'm Zach, and you know what? Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I've been kind of picking easy targets, going after a little bit of easy subjects and everything. So I thought, do you know what? Maybe for a change, maybe I should go after someone smarter with a doctor in front of the name instead of you know idiots that want to say stupid things to make God exist. Well, I suppose the doctor in front of the name doesn't really change anything about that, does it? Oh well. Well, first, should plug in in the coming in 2 weeks time. It should be in 2 weeks time. We're going to have debut of new music video. So that's good. So look forward to that this Sunday coming from when the stream comes out. I should have Michael Beverly on the channel, and that's going to be fun because he's a joy to get along with, and he'll be not in demon form this time, so that's cool. And I'll be involved, so hopefully the stream won't fuck up. But we'll see. Hopefully we're going to be watching some videos. But if I can't get OBS to put sound through again, because like when I had Joe from Kentucky Atheist on, you could see the video, he just couldn't hear the sound, and I'm on Streamlabs. So if anybody knows why that might be, tell me in the comments, because I don't want to do that. That'd be shit. Or an easier way to do that in general. That'd be great. Because otherwise we'll just shoot the shit for a bit. So that's this Sunday, 9:30 London time, GMT, 5:30 Eastern time. So that's cool. So look forward to that. And like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all that good stuff. And if you really want to help, there's I'm on Ko-fi and on Patreon and all that other stuff. So that shilling achieved. So today, it's once again. It's so annoying. I have to keep on going back to Pints of Aquinas. He's so annoying. He's just the most generic mouthpiece. It's the people that are saying things that I want to make fun of. So I guess we're gonna have to.
Walk like an Egyptian.
I also am interested if we have any good reason to think that the Exodus happened, because often.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of defense of the historicity of the New Testament, the reliability that we can compare and contrast and see that there's very few discrepancies.
yeah.
It's always bloody nice when you can fucking talk to people that think the same thing as you, right, Sheila? I always love it when you get these people that they try and act all astute to talk to. Look at him; he's got his little glasses on and he's got his little coat on because he's talking to a doctor, a doctor of what is it? Theology. All right. Because what you always like is there's a nice degree on exactly how to lie about stuff, right? Now you see here we've got very few discrepancies in the New Testament. Now I'm really wondering about the Old Testament there, right? So it doesn't matter that. No, I can't keep on doing a really bad Australian accent. I can't make fun of everybody's accents. I enjoy doing it too much. I just like doing accents. So what? So there's very few discrepancies in the New Testament. I know that most scholars disagree with like that like what half of like Paul's letters are actually his. This was it because there's 12 of Paul's letters and they add, is it Hebrews they add to it, because it doesn't even say that it was written by anyone. It doesn't have any attestation for that it's from anyone whatsoever. But hey, cares about that, right? And Jesus doesn't say different things on the cross, and he doesn't do different things at it doesn't matter, really, does it? We can point out all the discrepancies until we're blue in the face. And in fact, considering I am right now currently writing a little, Bible, starting to write at the start of a Bible study, Genesis to the end, hopefully. No one ever seems to get to the end, but that aside, like, these people don't care. They don't give a shit how many times you can point out different things that Jesus said and different things that he did, and how like John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John has like no connection to any of the synoptic gospels or anything like that. And it doesn't matter how how Judas died or any of the contradictions or anything. Like these people don't care, because they so just inherently just ignore and put the blinkers on to everything that might be slightly wrong with their own religion because, well, that's the devil, right? It's the devil telling you to do that stuff, right? And it's the devil whispering in your ear, and you should trust in his understanding and not this and that. And they have had like 2,000 years of building up every argument of why they should never give a shit about anything that disagrees with them on literally any level. So, like, why are they gonna give a fuck? That's why I don't mind that I'm preaching to the choir half of the fucking time, but I have no real intentions to convert people, because half the time these people don't care. You know what I mean? And if they don't care, I don't see why I should, and I don't see why I should play to them. So fuck them. I just want to make fun of them and point out how fucking disingenuous each one of these two cunts is.
But what do you say when someone says we've got really good evidence to think the Exodus never occurred? It's a nice fairy tale. It's a myth of a people, but it's not something that happened.
Yeah. I would say, okay, first of all, you're not going to get direct evidence of that because the Egyptians were masters of propaganda.
You're not going to get direct evidence of that, right? Not going to get direct evidence. So, of course, this dickhead here, of course, he's going to be saying that, yes, in fact, the Bible is all the proof you need, right? It says that. But, he's here right now saying that there's no direct evidence because the Egyptians wouldn't allow it. You do realize that, like, there weren't just two peoples in the fucking world at the time, right? Because, back then, there was only the Egyptians, and there was the Hebrews, and there was no other people in the world. None. No Hittites, no Phoenicians, no Mycenaean Greeks. No Mesopotamia. There was no one in China. No one in Africa. There was no Nubians. There was no people in the Americas. There was just these two people, and no one else in the area would want to point out. You're saying, so if a bunch of fucking, like, if an embarrassing amount of slaves, what is it they say? What is it they say in the Bible? How many slaves left Egypt? So, Numbers chapter 1, 46 says, because, it fit like a fuck ton of verses before it starts. What? Let me just check again. Where does it start? So from like Numbers 120 to like 45, whatever, it tells you like all the tribes and how many people enrolled in the army to leave, just enrolled in the army. So 146 says all those enrolled were 603,550. So 600,000. That's just enrolled. So those enrolled of the Israelites by so all of those enrolled of the Israelites by their ancestral houses from 20 years old and up, able to go to war with Israel, all those enrolled was 603,550. The Levites, however, were not numbered by their ancestral tribe among them. So that's just people enrolled, and that's not including men and women, like, that aren't enrolled, and that is including women, and that isn't including children. A lot of estimates go from anywhere from 2 to like 3 million, like, Israelites. Poof. Hebrews, sorry. Poof. Poof. And right, you want to see the Egypt? Well, Egypt isn't going to talk about that. Okay, yeah. Do you know what Egypt would talk about though? Is after, from the glut of workers, the way they rebuilt themselves back up into a working state, they would brag about that. Because they don't brag about losses to, like, the Nubians or the Hyksos, but they certainly brag about winning. You see? And rebuilding is part of winning, so when they, when the Nubians beat them at one point and they had to rebuild, they bragged about that, but, so Yes. So you're right. You're right. You're not going to get any, direct evidence from the Egyptians, but the Bible isn't direct evidence either. And you've said you can't get direct evidence. So there you go. And the Hittites wouldn't make fun of him. There's a bunch of people that would make fun of him, and in fact they did, didn't they? You wouldn't want to go live with the Apiru. Hey, maybe if you just had a casual glance through like any of the Tel Elamana letters, or like just books that write about them, maybe you would find out some stuff. I always find it how Christian scholars, they love being Christian scholars, right? They love it in the heart of hearts, and it's the best thing being a Christian scholar, right? But they don't really care about any other forms of scholarship and any other things that are found in any other fields. It's only about things that bolster their opinions, because theology, a whole degree in hopeful dreams. There's a question for you. There's a question. What is more pointless, a creative writing degree or a theology degree?
So they never record any defeats or anything that goes wrong.
You gave it your best shot, and that's all Jesus asks of you.
Okay, so it's kind of like kind of like our newspapers, kind of like our newspapers, It's like the New York Times, it's very ideological.
Yeah, it's just like the New York Times, because newspapers today don't like talking about bad things that happened. What? I'm sorry, but your bias is showing. It's just, you might want to tuck it back in. It's impolite in public.
So that's how Egyptian historiography was. So you would not expect that a story of a massive defeat of one of the pharaohs, say Ramses II or something like that, where he lost a major part of his workforce. A
major part of his workforce? The fucker lost like from a quarter to a half of his entire population. It's almost like in a time and place like that. I don't know. What if, like, there was another superpower in the area that really wasn't that far away? Like Assyria or the Nubian Empire and stuff like that wouldn't be going, oh, they've literally lost half of their fucking people. Get them! Fucking get them! Stab them! Kill them! Burn them! Put them on a pike!
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Because it was the BCE times, when people were still coming out of caves, kind of, and, we weren't very civilized, even though we were pretending to be. Just like now. See, that's a better reference to the connection between the two, and you don't have to be ideological. You could just point out that humanity's fucking stupid. And I mean, we're watching a video of fucking pints with cunts and Dr. John, whatever his name is. So you know exactly what we're talking about, right? So none of these other kingdoms at the time would want to pounce all over him. The Canaanites wouldn't, like, there's nobody else at the time. Like, so yeah, you got, well, we got the Babylonians, the Kazite Babylonians, you got the Middle Assyrian Empire, you've got fucking the Hittites, the Mycenaean Greeks. All these people would just fucking trounce Egypt in a fucking minute if they had realized that, I don't know, they had lost half their fucking population. Hey, and I know you're eventually going to get on to maybe it's Ramses II, but the Meneptah Stele, and Meneptah's the ruler immediately after, Ramses died, and he only ruled for 10 years, and he talked about beating Egypt. It's almost like after Ramses died, Meneptah had a kind of, a military, campaign and won a lot of battles. You can tell by reading the Stele, Meneptah's Stele. And a scholar that wants to talk astutely about such subjects, you think would actually look at things that might have some relevant light on the subject. But nah, you see, the Bible, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Let's let him get to the thing that I want to make fun of before I make fun of it, because it'll seem longer to you and not me. The magic of editing.
and was defeated by a foreign god. That's never going to be recorded in Egyptian annals. So you can just forget like having direct attestation from the Egyptians. Now, what you can look for, though, is indirect evidence of authenticity. And what I find really compelling about the Exodus accounts is, in particular, the account of the building of the tabernacle in the wilderness. And what I find so fascinating about that is that when you look at how the tabernacle is built, it strongly resembles the Egyptian war tent of the pharaohs like Ramses II.
So, you're saying that these guys ran away from Ramses II, and he will be saying that. I'm just jumping the gun. I just want to make all the connections. Because he's not, like, so you got indirect evidence that the tabernacle looks like Ramses II's war chest in his tent. So God lives in / has his footstool being an Egyptian war chest. Why? Why would Yahweh, Elohim, El Shaddai, God of the steppe, Baal, whatever name you want to give him, he really just digs Egypt's architecture on war chests, you see. So he decided that his tabernacle was going to be that, and it had nothing. Like, I'm trying to argue this like this really happened. Like, oh, well, maybe these people, like, fucking, they just came out of Egypt and they're just doing what they know. Like, it's not a bunch of people that, like, so, conspiracy theory hat time. So it's conspiracy time. The scholars that would disagree with me, that's why I've put the tinfoil hat on. Because I believe it irregardless. So we're supposed to believe, right, that the Hyksos, a Levantine people that ruled over Egypt not long before Ramesses, which isn't like a stupidly long time, it's only a couple of hundred years before Ramesses, and like Amenhotep II, the second choice they like to pick, was a lot closer. And like, it's almost like they got beaten out, and then they got chased across into the Levant, and then maybe they probably settled down as a group of people called the Epiru. A bunch of nomadic wanderers and shepherds that lived in the Levantine area that, I don't know, maybe because like scholars like to go, well, there's still Epiru afterwards. And it's like, yeah, maybe they weren't all of them, because the Epiru were like like a class of people that kind of just wanted to live on the outskirts of society / have been shunned for one reason or another. Like even when you look at the Elamana letters, it goes, hey, you want to go live with the Epiru, do you, leader boy? You know what I mean? Like, come on. So what? None of that could be, a coping mechanism to forget about, I don't know, things that have happened in the past and try and rewrite them to put yourselves in a better light. Because, we don't have cameras and 24-hour news and, stuff that, like, proves things to be real. You could just make it up because who's going to remember this shit, right? You know what I mean? Which god is gonna fucking, the Egyptians aren't gonna accept when another god beat them. Like, so like, the Nile ran red with blood, and like, no one but the Egyptians saw it. It's a miracle.
And these pharaohs were gods, and when they would go on campaign up into Canaan, for example,
they didn't see themselves as gods, like, I am King Ramesses II, pharaoh and god. They thought they were like Jesus, you see. They thought they were God. They were like human, but with like a spark of the divine in them, because it was about hierarchies, right? Because gods weren't all-powerful beings either. You could tell that's because they had polytheism, where they were gods of different things. You see, and it was all hierarchical structure. And if you were born with the spark of the divine, well, then you were probably a leader or some kind of priest or something, you see, because you were born with the spark of the divine, so people treated you as like a representation of God on earth, not that you were God. It's almost like if you cursorily glance at something, you can make up whatever you want. But if you even study it the littlest amount, you can bring the light in and all the lies that you've told. Fun, isn't it? It's fun. That's why people like this only go on other Christian channels, because they don't want to get challenged about the lies they tell. They want to be congratulated. They want to have their balls stroked and sucked and licked and to have the nipples, nibbled and twisted a little bit, and they get a little hand on the knee, and in a little rusty trombone while they're there. This the sort of things they enjoy. They don't like being challenged because they're on high. They're doing God's work, and how dare anyone attack anyone for saying God stuff, right? How dare they? How dare you? You should feel silly and stupid for challenge. He has doctor in front of his name. Is he a doctor of Egyptology? No, he is not. Is he a doctor? Is his doctorate of historical nature? No, it is not. It's of theology and I suppose it's slightly of a historical nature because he specializes in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So that really tells me all I need to know about what he actually knows about Egypt. Because listen to what he's saying. Listen to the fields he's studied, and you can come to your own conclusions.
They would reside in these big courtyards that were ringed around by curtains, and they would have like a tent in the middle, and this tent would have an outer court and an inner court, and the pharaoh would sit enthroned in the inner court on a throne with 2 cherubim on either side.
Wow.
Now, we have pictures of this. We have ancient engravings of what these war tents look like.
And it's definitely the Exodus, right? It's definitely the tabernacle, right? Because they went around in a tent and they carried it around, and because they're similar, it means God's real. You see, because the tabernacle being similar to the war tents, God's real. See, you see. Step 1, you got the tabernacle, right? And step 2, you got Egyptian war tents. Step 3, God is real.
And the dimensions, the layout, it all resembles very similar to the layout of the tabernacle in the books of Exodus and thereafter. And what's so interesting about that, Matt, is that it's been popular ever since the middle of the 1800s to suggest that the Pentateuch was actually written in the time of Ezra.
So I'm just wondering, Doctor, are you dumb or is your audience dumb? Which one is it? Even the Bible doesn't say that Ezra wrote it, right? It says that he edited it. It says that Ezra edited it. It says that Ezra edited it, that he was the editor. He edited it together. You see, that's what the Bible says. It doesn't say that he wrote it. And it's not been popular since the 1800s because it's in the fucking Bible. Fuck off. Oh my Jesus. Well, I mean, Wellhausen since the late 1800s has been we've been talking about, I don't know, the documentary hypothesis where it's definitely not written by Moses, you see, because it talks about camels. Dude, and it matters. Camels weren't introduced into the Levant until like the 9th or 10th century BCE. So Moses writing about camels is dumb, not true, kind of happened. It's a myth. Unlike, how we've come to the documentary hypothesis, and now we've kind of, messed around with it a little bit and fixed it here and there, and because of the language that's used, you see, the syntax changes over time, you see. Hast thou understandeth what I saith? You see, because that is oldie schooly Englishy from way backy timing. You see, and now we speak in modern English, which, so like when I say cool, radical, hang 10 man, right? Even that sounds dated, doesn't it? Yes, because the vernacular of the time changes with the slang and common usage and stuff, right? So actually, we can pin fucking down with greater degree of accuracy than, well, I guess Moses might have done it in the 1400s BCE, 1300s. We know whatever Ramesses is. So we can do that. We can nail down that by looking at when other books were written and how different words are used and in what context they're used. in the syntax of the sentence, you see. And we could go, well, actually, this looks like it was made here. And like, because, in Genesis, it goes, my name is El Shaddai. And then it's, Elohim, and then it's Yahweh, and, and we could say that these different names of gods would, of the same God was given to the same God at different times. And then we can, call certain things to that. It's almost like the Bible says, it's weird how the Bible says that Ezra edited it, but it also says in Judges, doesn't it, that, King Hezekiah and King Josiah and head priest Hezekiah, they found a new book of the Lord, just sat around in the temple, and then that's Deuteronomy, right? It's not Moses. Judges says that. Judges. And I'm judging you for not knowing that, you see. Because, well, why talk about the actual things that are in the Bible, and parts of the Bible that people won't fucking read? Why talk about it? Because it's only the word of the Lord, and, it's very inconvenient to you. So don't talk about that, and your audience is so fucking dumb they won't fucking know. And people like me point that out. Well, we're just fucking devil-worshipping pieces of shit that like to eat babies, right? So, why should we ever be believed?
Like 1,000 years after the events that it records, and it's all fictitious. Well, if it's being written in the time of Ezra, how is it that it matches up so well with Egyptian cultural realia of that time, of the new, what we call the New Kingdom period, which is often suggested as we're talking about like the 13th century BC, the 1200s BC.
As much as they want to go bang on about how you can't find tangible evidence for this and you can't find tangible evidence for that. Well, it must be Moses, because, if I misconstrue the creation of the Pentateuch, then I guess, then it definitely was Ezra, right? My book that I say is the inspired, inerrant Word of God, says that he edited it. And that, Judges says that King Josiah and head priest Hezekiah found the book of the Lord, which is Deuteronomy or Leviticus, but I'm pretty sure it's Deuteronomy. Then Moses couldn't have written that, because Judges says that he didn't. But they got a tent right, so it must be Moses. Because hey, any tiny shreddy nug of evidence, that's all they need. I said, I say it all the time. They don't care. They say there's no evidence until they get the tiniest nugget. It's all the evidence you need. Look at it must be Moses, because a tent design. A tent is designed the same way as a tent 1,000 years ago. Moses. What? But Christians go, well, I needed a reason, and that's a reason right fucking there. I mean, it has to be Moses. No one else can write about a tent with an inner courtyard and an outer courtyard with, with some cherubim that aren't little baby angels. They're like horrific beasts. It's like, what? Even if you want to say, because they're the same, they're so similar. Like, we didn't even talk about Egyptian thrones. What did you find it off Wikipedia? Did you find that off Wikipedia? Because when you look up actual Egyptian thrones, the closest thing to a winged being is like a sphinx, right? Which isn't a cherubim. It's almost like cherubim are based off, I don't know, Babylonian imagery. If only the Jews were in exile in Babylon. So, what you're really saying is it would be silly to think then that Ezra maybe edited it in such a way to put Egypt, sworn enemies of the Babylonians, in the bad light, talking about exile and, picking oneself up by one's bootstraps and rebelling against one's oppressors. Yeah. No. Nah. Wouldn't be the Assyrians and the Babylonians, and literally anyone that walked over them in all the years after that, or during, or before. Because it happened a lot. Like, a lot. But hey. I forgot to put my conspiracy theory hat on for that last bit, but It's on now. It's for the last bit. There you go.
the time, around Ramses II and before and a little bit after, within that time period. This is often suggested as the time of the Exodus. And in fact, the technology and the cultural forms that are described in the Exodus resemble that time period in Egypt. In fact, in King Tut's tomb, we have something that looks like the Ark of the Covenant. We have this big gold box on poles, only on top it's got a figure of the god Anubis, this like jackal-like god, or it's like dog god.
I know God of the Dead is, too much for a person with a theology doctorate. But it's the tabernacle. So the tabernacle isn't Jewish. It isn't Hebrew. It's Egyptian, and Anubis inspired. In fact, it's funny how, you never guess, because you're not a student of history. You'll never guess who Tutankhamun is the son of. You never guess. Akhenaten. Oh, does that not mean anything to you? Yeah. Akhenaten was the true first monotheist. He completely disregarded all the Egyptian gods and made his own god of 10. Weird that, isn't it? Weird how that works. It's weird how Akhenaten is also the son of Amenhotep II. Amenhotep III. Not the second. And then, that line a few pharaohs back, and that's the Levantine ones. It's weird how that works. It's weird how all these things are really close. I forgot. It's really weird how all these things are like really close together, but also not connected in any way whatsoever, ever. Why would any of these things be ever connected? It's all just complete happenstance, right?
And but anybody biblically literate looks at it like, wow, that looks like the Ark of the Covenant with a pagan god on top. And so what is going on? What I would argue, Matt, is that
lies, and more lies, and lies on top of lies.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
When Moses leads the people out of Egypt, he uses, some cultural forms and some cultural technology, even like the shape of different vessels and chairs and tents and so on like that they're familiar with because they built these things for Pharaoh.
It must have happened, right? Because, the things are, the gist is kind of similar, right? And, it's kind of like that thing. And, if you look at the Ark of the Covenant and you look at, this big, like square, a bit more. Look, it's a box with handles on it that 4 people can carry, and that's how we know it was Moses, because they built things that were similar to what they already knew. I've been so confused this whole time. We're out in the middle of the desert. It's so sandy. The air's so dry. This sand, it's coarse. And there's all the things the Egyptians are chasing, so I'm just so confused. Can it just be over? Oh, here comes Moses. I'll ask him. Moses! Oh, he's bringing a box! He's got 4 handles on it. He's got 4 handles, so if it's got 4 handles, well then it's like my great-great-great, or my great-great-great-great-great-great grandmother, depending on ages, because, slavery, we don't get to live very long as slaves. Good thing we're free now, but now seeing the box, I understand because of the cultural norms at the time, you see. And you can now see that this box that my great-grandmother, my great-great-great-great-grandmother worked on while working on Tutankhamun's tomb, definitely see it there. She told it to us, she said, we're slaves now, but one of these days you're going to see a box just like this, and then you'll know you're free, sent by the good Lord Yahweh. Cultural norms at the time. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But I feel like Moses wouldn't know about what was the inside of Tutankhamun's tomb. But hey, because it didn't exist. It's the fun thing about arguing the Bible, isn't it? You've got to argue like the things exist and don't exist at the same time, because You never know which fucker's going to go, well, this is 100% true, but by the way, this is 100% figurative, and this bit's bad. And, you know, do you know, really, Moses culturally appropriated the tabernacle for God, and God was really, really liked living in a box that was modeled on Anubis. Or a treasure, because, you know, God was a treasure, because that's... You know, it's the other thing you got to love about the Bible, isn't it? They get to go, well, it's fake, you know, if it's symbolism and figurative, then I get to read into it whatever I want. And you can't argue because, you know, God intended it to be that way, and he intended it to be that way since before you were born. Nah.
But Moses tells a radically different theological message.
As long as he's telling a radically different theological message, then it means it's true. How was we never to spot this before? Well, fuck it. I have to end it somewhere because this is a 2-part video, and this seems like a good place to stop it because it's about halfway through. Hooray! So I'll see you all Sunday, hopefully. Remember to like and subscribe. I'll either see you Sunday or Wednesday.